I think that adaptogens are generally good. If you're blocking your cortisol and blocking your stress response entirely, that's not an adaptogen. That's a sedative.
I love adaptogens. They get their name from helping your body adapt to the stresses of life. Cool thing about adaptogens is they'll help you rev up or rev down. So they're very dynamic. It's kind of an overused term. Like there really aren't as many adaptogens as people claim.
There's so many supplements out there with merit that you don't feel.
There are definitely some that have metals, some that don't have the right ingredients. And if you go to Amazon, at least half are not real. They're counterfeit.
I just read yesterday that like 80% of supplements out there are just crap.
On Amazon?
Anywhere.
How do you know when you look at a brand, whether it's a scammer brand or a real brand?
You're listening to The Human Upgrade with Dave Asprey.
You have done something interesting, and so I want to have you on the show. Where you're looking at what is the combination of things you could do in the morning that makes people feel really good. This has been my obsession for 30 years because I didn't feel good. And you used some really unusual things. One that I wanted to call out was saffron. Why would you put saffron in any person in the morning?
Saffron. I mean, saffron's the best. I love it for, the mood and what it does for you at night. Doesn't help you fall asleep, but once you are asleep, right, gives you this better, fuller recovery, deeper sleep, faster to REM, things that I find are really foundational to feeling good, right? Like nothing replaces a good night's sleep.
As far as I can tell, and from talking with the first company that made a saffron extract, I formulated something years ago when I was at Bulletproof, and it might have been or maybe was the first commercial formulation with a saffron extract in it. And the data was so strong, and I'm not at Bulletproof. I don't think they even make that stuff anymore. So having a good source of it in MTE is important. The studies on it are insane. Like it works better for depression than some SSRIs.
Totally.
And it's good for the brain. Daniel Amen, who's a good friend, who's been on the show many times, talks about it a lot online. I think it's his favorite cognitive enhancer. So it's one of these things where, wait, I thought saffron was for making rice yellow.
Right. Yeah.
How many other herbs are actually medicinal and we just like the taste?
Good question. I mean, holy basil, right? Like the list goes on, but I think
oregano.
Right. I mean, I just took, my son's fighting off a cold and I woke up feeling more tired than I felt like I should have. 2 oregano right down the hatch. It's like nature's antibiotics, right? Like I love oregano. Put it in the diffuser, like get a natural source of it. Tastes terrible.
Yep.
So we keep it out of the formula, but
I can't imagine oregano in an MTE.
It would not be good. We have like ashwagandha as an example. A lot of people are like, how much ashwagandha do you have? Was it for mood? And I'm like, look, the ashwagandha is adaptogenic in our formula. Mood, like the clinicals on our saffron, look at placebo for reduced depression versus 28 milligrams is what we use. It's 4x, right? The reduction in depression, anger, confusion, right? All these mood markers. It's just, and then now we're starting to see, they just released some clinical studies and actually helping on menopause symptoms. And the physical manifestation, it's reducing heat flashes, it's reducing, a number of different symptoms pertaining specifically to menopause, which I thought, okay, it'll be cognitive. But when I started hearing it was actually also the physical manifestation of it, I mean, saffron's the best. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love paella too. So I use it to color the rice also.
You had me for a minute. I'm like, paella? Is that a new supplement? I'm like, no, he's talking about food. Okay. That was funny.
I look at MTE as a vessel and not a fixed formula, right? So
it's the right way to do it.
Right. Yeah. So we're continually, like, one of the things I'm really considering putting in it, I want to learn more. Maybe you can advise me. I know you know this stuff like better than most, is ergothioneine. Like I've become aware of it and just sort of obsessive about, like glutathione and what it can do, but its half-life is so small.
Ergothioneine is the next glutathione.
Right.
I believe. There's a couple companies I've heard that are kind of investigating it. You know about the Business of Biohacking conference?
Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody who was there last year was thinking about it, but I don't remember who it was.
Okay.
So I think you could do it. Your challenge is if you promote a hero ingredient that other people promote, right?
Yeah.
There's a downside. Like I promoted MCT and collagen, right? They're both billion-dollar industries now, and I captured my share of them, but others captured a greater share than I did. But that's okay. If like it needed to happen, everything's good.
Right.
But if you're going to put a marketing dollar in, you know, if ergothioneine is a major portion of your cost structure and you're doing the whole formula, does ergothioneine have enough sensation per dollar of COGS to make it worth it?
Yep.
And that's a hard thing to judge, but that's how I look at it.
It's an interesting view because I would never look at it that way. I think that's the right way to look at it, to preface it. But I look at it, you know, probably the less sophisticated way where I'm like, do I want to take this? It's something I want. You know?
I do the same thing. And just having made formulas that are so fucking epic, but it's $120 a bottle.
Right.
I'm like, no one will buy it.
Right.
So then it's like, how do I maximize for consumption? Right. And if I have an 80% solution that 80% of people take, or I have a 100% solution that 20% of people take, I've done less good in the world. And this is painful. I almost want like the pro version that only 2,000 people are going to take.
Right.
And that may be the answer, like the VIP version where like, you know, we went all out and you have to have taken the regular stuff to even be qualified. Yeah. Like this is our insiders club and you're going to get first access and it's going to cost more, but it's going to be worth it. There's probably some business there.
Getting my juices flowing. I love that. Because I love that from a consumer and a brand, right? Because I would do just that. And it's fair because some people are like, I mean, first of all, it can be unapproachable in a real way. Some people, I think, just don't see the value in themselves. You know, when somebody sits here and says, this is too expensive. I'm like, it's $3 a day, right? Like, what are you spending $3 a day on? I mean,
it's less than like a brewed coffee. It's less than French fries at McDonald's.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, so if that's expensive and, you know, and you're like, but you're on your $1,000 iPhone telling me it's too expensive, right? I think we're missing something.
Or if you drink any alcohol at all.
It like one beer, right? Like one beer a month, you know, it's like, totally. And, so it's interesting. I'm with you because you don't want to create something that's unapproachable. Like we talk about that with the team all the time. This amazing product in the corner that nobody knows about and it's unapproachable and nobody gets it. I've just made it for myself. Like I shouldn't have bothered with the website and all that other shit. I just have my own formula I could just take.
It's funny that we're talking about this because I mean, when I started the world's first clean coffee back at Bulletproof, the market size was 0.
Right.
And I'm like, I just hope 100 people will come in and just to help offset the cost of lab testing and all this stuff I want to do. The market size was much larger, but I wasn't like betting on a market. I made a market and now biohacking's like a $63 billion industry in 2032 or something, if you believe the analysts, which I never do. So it's like, great, that all worked out. But the idea was I wanted that coffee. And then the supplements, when I started, I'm like, I want that. I don't care about the cost.
Yeah.
And you can get the very high end of the market. And at a certain point, though, everyone's like, I want to do that. And then you're saying, well, if this ingredient made it double in price, it's a great ingredient, but that means a large number of people just aren't going to do it. So maybe I'll break that out into a separate product.
Right.
And no one knows like what's the optimal breakdown, especially because for you, saffron may be like the life-changing ingredient. And for me, maybe it's L-theanine.
Yeah.
Right. But I know saffron's more expensive than theanine. Like, how do we do this? For people listening, we're all working to help you out if we're working for the good guys. And there are other people who are just saying, how can I buy cheap stuff and put a pretty label on it?
Right.
How do you know when you look at a brand that's not MTE, whether it's a scammer brand or a real brand?
Let me just go back to your point real quick. To the people listening, saffron's worth it. It is worth every penny. It's a good question. I just read yesterday that like 80% of supplements out there are just crap. Right?
On Amazon?
Anywhere.
You know, I kind of think the person saying that, I'm not sure who said that exact one, I kind of think that they're maybe biased towards selling you their brand. Or from big pharma. That number seems high to me.
Okay.
but there are definitely some that have metals, some that don't have the right ingredients. And if you go to Amazon, at least half are not real. They're counterfeit.
Right.
So you have to buy them from the brand store on Amazon. And if you're a good person, you go to the vendor's website and you buy it because they make more money, which keeps them in business, and Amazon doesn't need any more money.
Isn't that the truth?
So I'm hopeful that I can have an AI agent, and I'm working on this stuff pretty soon, where anything that I want to buy on Amazon, it'll redirect it to the vendor's website without me having to do anything.
That's interesting.
Wouldn't that be cool? Because then they could just go right to MTE and buy it from you. And like, what's the difference in your business? If someone goes to MTE, was it MTE.com? I don't know what's
GetMTE.com.
So GetMTE.com.
Yeah.
If they go there and they buy something, like what's an approximate margin there if you're willing to talk about that?
It's significantly more than Amazon. I can tell you that.
Amazon will take 30% of your,
and the storage fees and the shipping fees and
and when people buy on Amazon, you pay the shipping, and they wonder why it's more.
Yeah.
So my stuff usually is a couple bucks more on Amazon.
Yep.
Not because I want to screw people, just because Amazon is taking that from me. And there's times where like you break even on Amazon if you sell it at the same price as your store, because there's such a fat. So I'm like, Amazon already is selling counterfeit things because the controls aren't good. So I do my best to not buy my supplements. And if I do, I always go to the brand store.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Because the friction of having to put your, like you think about just a general person in the world and wants to have a supplement stack. You've got, here and all these different sites. And then do I want a subscription? I'm not sure if I love it enough. So I'll get a one-off and try it, or get a couple months worth, the pretty well-worn path.
Yeah.
Or I just go to Amazon, click, right? So like, we like Amazon. I mean, we're on Amazon, but we also like it better.
You don't like Amazon. You're saying that because you're afraid they'll take your thing off. Come on, dude. You can be truthful here.
I don't think they would. We're too small. They're like, they don't care about us. But
so by the way, I have to tell you this. There was a time I was spending $400,000 a month on ads on Amazon, and I was at their headquarters in their fishbowl recording something.
Yeah.
And they shut my Amazon store down in the middle of it.
Why?
They said fake reviews.
Okay.
Now, there were no fake reviews.
Yeah.
There just weren't any. We weren't doing it. No one was doing it. Our reviews were real. They were just very positive. Right. And they're saying, oh, no one did that. That was just an automated thing because you had a lot of positive reviews. And it just happened in the middle. So no, they don't care about you. They don't even know what the heck's going on. So I don't want to be like anti-Amazon. It's also like makes it easy to buy stuff. But I'll just say, if you're listening to the show and you appreciate what I'm doing, you appreciate MTE, you appreciate any of this stuff, like support the people making it, because it's rough these days. You sell something on Amazon, it's like you're, as an entrepreneur, making minimum wage by the time you pay all their stuff, and they're looking for that monopoly. It's kind of gross.
What he said.
By the way, you can go to Amazon and buy all my products. Talk to me about theanine.
Yeah. Love it. So what I really like is theanine and GABA. So one of the first things I went to when I had the high blood pressure and I was trying to supplement myself out of it, in addition to meditation and doing different things, was a supplement that was theanine and GABA alone. It was sublingual, and I loved it. I just felt good, right, if you will. And I remember taking it and thinking, I don't know if this is doing anything for my blood pressure, but I just love the way I feel with this combination, right? And
it doesn't make you tired when you do it in the afternoon?
No, it gives me, I think when you balance it out with something that has, a little bit of the stimulus, it has the nice, right?
There's a few brands who try to sell you theanine in coffee. I don't think it tastes amazing to blend them together like that. It doesn't need to be in the coffee. You just take it with any source of caffeine, and theanine takes the edge off.
Right.
And it's just an amino acid from green tea. But the studies on theanine for lowering cortisol are pretty meaningful.
Yeah.
So you could see why, especially people, they get the afternoon crash. If you have high blood pressure, usually there's an insulin issue. So you're going to have hypoglycemia, the 2:00 crash I had in my 20s. So the body feels physiological anxiety when blood sugar crashes. And you're like, yeah, like I'm tired and I'm wired and like brain fog.
Right.
So GABA chills you out. Theanine, it's a different feeling than GABA, but it's almost a little bit nootropic and calming, but
Totally.
neither one makes you tired. And you can take them both before bed because of the chill out effect, but they're not sedating.
Yep.
Right. So now you've smoothed out that afternoon. Like it's actually an adrenaline cortisol thing that happens when blood sugar crashes.
Yeah.
So you've smoothed that out. People are feeling better.
Yep.
One of the more intriguing ingredients that you have in MTE is BHT, the preservative that Vani Hari hates. Why would you do that?
BHT.
Yeah. Butylated hydroxytoluene. I can't believe you do that.
What is that?
Sorry, I'm just messing with you.
What is BHT?
BHT is a synthetic oil antioxidant.
Okay.
And it's used in like big food as a preservative to stop oxidation of foods.
Okay.
At low levels, it's an endocrine disruptor and you don't want it.
Uh-huh.
We took it at high levels in the 80s and 90s for longevity because it stabilizes cell membranes. And I wouldn't use it for that anymore, but it is a rapid cure for any pox virus, including chicken pox or shingles or herpes.
Really? At high dose?
100%. Yeah, 300 milligrams a day, way more than you'd ever find in food. The food, they paint it on the packaging in small amounts, stop oil from going rancid. So I would say it's not good to have it in your food all the time, but if you have a pox virus, you want that. But I was just kidding because Vani Hari, Food Babe, who's a good friend, she's just on a thing against BHT, and she's right. And at the same time, like, but you could use it medically. So anyway, I was just trying to just mess with you, but since you're not into the BHT thing, it didn't work. So I failed, man.
I'm sorry. My ignorance disappoints.
Oh man. Well, it was because you're focused on adaptogens and things like that. You actually do have an ingredient that I haven't done a lot of research on, so I want you to teach me about it. Amaranth. Is this an extract? It's just like some grain in there. I know what amaranth is. I've eaten it.
Yeah.
And I don't recommend it as a type of amaranth bread or something.
Right.
Why would you include it in MTE?
So we wanted a couple superfoods in there.
Okay.
So spirulina and amaranth, which sort of, we wanted sort of a triangle, right? Nootropic, adaptogen, superfood.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the guy that really helped us is an Ayurvedic formulator who really helped us mastermind this formula as we sort of tinkered and tweaked around. And he just kept selling amaranth. And I was like, dude, I don't even like red spinach. I thought spinach was green. And, he was like, no, dude, trust me. We need amaranth. We want amaranth. Here's why. And so, he just kind of sold us on, amaranth being clean, great. The other thing that he really sold us on was, high doses of it you don't want.
Exactly.
Right. So it's a low dose, it's not a pixie dust, but it's a low dose.
It's enough to feed your gut bacteria to cause a shift, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And then we've got the chicory root that sort of amplifies that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was all sort of like in a vacuum. No. In high doses. No. But in conjunction with the 10 other ingredients, perfect. And we were like, okay, let's do it.
And so it's mostly a prebiotic effect that you're getting from the amaranth. That makes sense. And as I recall, amaranth doesn't have any gluten in it. So
Correct.
it's safe for celiac people and things like that.
Yep.
And I'm generally like, don't eat grains. However, I'll call it microdosing a grain like that to cause your gut bacteria to shift is not really eating. It's a medicinal use of it, which is kind of cool. And then spirulina. We've done whole episodes on spirulina. And sometimes I love it. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not sure. How do you know you have good spirulina in there?
Well, it's funny you say that. So same deal. Like my philosophy is most of it's bad. Like I think that there's a bunch of junk spirulina out there. And one of the things we do, and I'm sure you're familiar with this being in the space, is there's all sorts of testing, right? Like you can just test and confirm that something's in it and the test stops there, or you can test that something's in it and that's all that's in it, right? Like those types of things I think are important, right? Instead of just saying, oh yeah, sure, there's a little bit of spirulina in there, but it's also this and this and this and this that you didn't test for because all you wanted to know is whether or not there's a certain property. So
you test it for metals and things like that.
Totally.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
This is unrelated, but my brother owns a coffee farm in Hawaii.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And so he ships us our stuff in. We call it liquid gold. That's not what he calls it. He calls it Pura Vida. And love it. Most of the coffee I get, it tastes bitter to me or whatever. Like, I just don't like it. This is incredible.
Oh, thanks.
This is really good.
Yeah. The substrate coffee for danger is very high end. And the minerals, I think you don't taste them, but your brain knows.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's something in there. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it every morning. And thanks for the compliment.
Yeah.
I'm always somewhat concerned with adaptogens. The reason is that if I'm going to go work out, if I'm on adaptogens, am I going to get the results of the workout?
Why not?
I mean, if I don't have the stress response I was supposed to have, so like if someone's training,
Yeah.
when would you use or not use MTE or any other adaptogen?
So, I think there's a bunch of school of thoughts on that, but the stance we've taken is we kind of went back to the origin, right? Where this is a product of the Russian athletic and space program. So looking at it in the way that they used it, which was for athletic performance and physical performance, and kind of noting, sure, there's cognition, but really that was an afterthought for the Russians and the OG, or like Siberian ginseng and all those things. This is more about physical manifestation of performance.
So like, can you kill the enemy? Yeah.
Totally. With that accent. It's good. It's like, Spies Like Us.
Not a very good accent. I get it.
So we felt like, look, it just helps you adapt to some of that physical stress, but not so much where you're not able to break down and then rebuild and get the benefit of the actual exercise. So, to me, it's sort of like modern day. I think about cold plunge, right? Some of the studies are like, if you cold plunge right after you work out, you may be doing yourself more harm.
Yeah, you should do it before you work out.
Right. So that occurred to us, and I was like, is this going to inhibit, and everything you just articulated? And the feeling was it won't, because frankly, it has some elasticity, right? Like at some point you're going to exceed, the load will exceed its ability to help you adapt to the stress. Right.
I think that adaptogens are generally good. If you're blocking your cortisol and blocking your stress response entirely, that's not an adaptogen. That's a sedative.
Right.
So what adaptogens originally were deployed for, it was the medicine witch people working with soldiers.
Yeah.
And this is like a Russian Siberian Altai Mountains and another thread in ancient Chinese military. So those two things, and maybe some from Ayurveda, but I'm unfamiliar with the military use that far back. So they'd say, well, soldiers, they worry about battle all night long. They wake up, they get into a fight, right? They have their battle, and then they're tweaked for another day or two. And this is bad because you want them to fight every day. So, and this is also uniquely Russian thinking. Like they're like, let's hack our people, which is why Russians are great biohackers. So then they're like, okay, maybe the right thing to do is let's find the herbal combination that allows them to turn stress on instantly and turn it off instantly. So instead of this long, slow cortisol area, it's like stress on, stress off, stress on, stress off. Well, that means if you exercise and you lift heavy and you're on adaptogens, your stress will turn on. It'll turn on more quickly, which causes more rapid adaptation, according to my last book. And it'll turn off more quickly, which also causes rapid adaptation. So it's not the amount of time you were stressed that built the muscle. It's the degree of the stress and the degree of the recovery. And that makes it really easy. So this is why I'm a huge fan of adaptogens, and I don't worry about adaptogens limiting muscle growth or something. But antioxidants in excess will limit that. And so will cold exposure after exercise, but it'll amplify it before exercise.
Right.
Right. So it's an interesting world where there's so many misconceptions out there about things, and people don't understand the mechanisms behind it. And one of the reasons I want to chat with you is you have kids.
Yep.
Ages?
14 and 11.
All right. So you've got some experience here. Talk to me about parenting, burnout, and energy drain. What have you learned?
It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want kids.
And, I mean, worse from a stress perspective, as in it's unrelenting. If the kids need you, you have to be there.
Unrelenting. Like the other day, I was backed up. I hadn't gotten as much work done as I needed to do. And I knew the rest of the week was going to be unrelenting. And my daughter was like, I have a math test tomorrow. I'm wildly unprepared for it. And I need to study for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, just drop what you're doing and, go do that. But it was like, it was 2 nights ago. She aced the test. Everybody's happy. My work is still got done.
Did you give her some MTE?
I did not.
Why not?
She doesn't like it. She doesn't drink anything. All her peers drink a bunch of stuff that I won't mention. And I'm like, you got to get them on MTE. Like, get them on something good for you. But she doesn't drink anything like that. She just drinks water. It's her bag.
I was so incredibly grateful. My daughter, a couple of years ago, was like, Dad, sometimes I don't get enough sleep and I have tests. She kind of noticed me taking handfuls of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do? And so like, well, let's get you on some electrolytes.
Yeah.
And she's like, I noticed a difference. And then let's get you on, some adaptogens. And so she knows if she didn't get sleep and she wants to perform on the test, she's got the tools. And she doesn't take that stuff every day, I don't think.
Right.
But just knowing, like, if you're a teenager, there's some stuff you can do that will probably give you 10 more points on your test without you having to study more, just because your brain works better because you didn't punch it in the face. Like that seems like a plan. MTE is a great thing.
More blood flow, like all the things.
Yeah, all the things.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
But the trick is, the difference is you have to tell her. If I tell her, then we're going to, she's going to go,
that's how
that goes.
It's funny, just from a parenting perspective, one of the greatest hacks I ever learned was my kids, even though they're amazing, and sometimes they'll listen to me, but they'll, by nature's wiring, listen to other people more.
Right.
So you can pair up with another dad and be like, you tell them some stuff. Right.
Yeah,
and then I'll tell yours some stuff.
Right.
So kids, you should know that, like, parents, we're playing chess, you're playing checkers. It's supposed to be that way. Just remember that.
And then you'll be back. You're like 22, ish. Then all of a sudden dad's not a complete moron again.
Since my kids were 5, I've been telling them, you know what? There's going to be a time when I become the stupidest human on earth. And they're like, Daddy, you're perfect. You could never. You're the best. And I'm like, I know, it totally feels that way. Just remember. And it's it's Mother Nature hacking you so that you will go to another tribe, even if a tiger might eat you on the way, because I'm going to be so incredibly stupid. And that's to make sure that you don't reproduce with your family.
Right.
So this is for gene expression, and this is just how it works. So it's okay that I'll be really dumb.
Yeah.
Like, never. And then suddenly one day it happens. And then I go, see, I told you so. Right. And then it's like, can they double eye roll? Because the first eye roll was the sign that it worked. And so it's been really funny, but I think it gave them permission to have those feelings. And like I said, they come back when they're about 24, the PFC comes online. Like, I guess dad's not that dumb. So I don't know. I've got, mine are a couple years older than yours, and I love my kids, and they can believe me or not. But your kids can believe me, and maybe mine will believe you.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go.
I love that.
How do you teach your kids to regulate their nervous systems? Because you've had to learn how to regulate yours.
Yeah.
What's the trick?
For me, I mean, it's the phones, right? I mean, it starts there, right? So the one thing that we try to do is keep it in perspective, right? Like going in the perspective, or it's something, my daughter, as an example, she goes to school without it, like no phone to school, no phone in the morning. And it's not like, this is what we're doing, these are the rules. It's more of selling it to her and helping her understand, look, it's processing your mind, right? That's not nothing, right? You're looking at this, you're activating your mind, you're engaging it over and over, and these algorithms, if you're on whatever you're on, right? If you just did a ChatGPT, Google search, certainly if you're on social media. So selling to her, look, if you were on a treadmill 20 hours a day, you would drop, right? Like, or if you ate 9 meals, in a 30-minute sitting, you would throw up. But your mind, for some reason, isn't wired really to tell you, especially at that age, we can't take anymore. It will just keep going and keep going and keep going. And then until you either are just totally fried or, something bad happens, right? So we've sold that to her, and to her credit, like, she's bought it. I think we got to her before we became total idiots, right? And, and so the phone now is a tool. So I think it started there. And then we just, constantly just try to slip in little things, perspective, time for yourself. It's okay to be bored, right? Contemplate things, think for yourself, just small things, little hacks here or there. Some of them she'll adopt like wholly. Some of them she'll adopt 5%, and then sometimes she's like, yeah, rolls her eyes. And then 2 weeks later, I'll hear that it's kind of found its way into her vocabulary, so you're like, yeah. So it's really helped. And you know what? It's given her, she's 14, she's 8th grade, my son 11, so, 5th grade. It's given them both. I think it's like their superpower. It's given them the calm, because it's different when we grew up.
Their phones.
When we grew up, it was like, everybody talks about it, right? You go out, you play till the street lamps come on, come home for dinner type of thing.
Yeah. I had to ask my dad for permission to have the right number of bullets.
Right.
No, I'm from New Mexico. I'm not kidding. I'm going to go out in the desert and shoot some cactus. Okay, son, make sure there's no one behind the cactus.
Right.
It's so different now.
Oh, can you imagine? I mean, you can't even, I read somebody got arrested the other day because they let their kids go to the park by themselves and people found them playing.
Geez, at what point do we arrest the cops for doing that crap?
Right.
I
mean, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like truly, it's like, that's how we all grew up. I'm sure the cop arresting him probably grew up that way, but
I don't think so. He wouldn't have been a cop if he grew up that way. That's not true. I know some really good cops. It's the ones who become cops who act that way, because there's a ton of cops who would just be like, like maybe there's one will drop the kid off, but whoever does that to the parents, man, that's a person doing evil and they have to know it.
Right?
Yeah.
Seemingly. But anyway, I mean, that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Sure.
But I think it's given them, that's, a little bit old school in modern day chaos. And I think it's really helped them, and it helps us too. I mean, shit, we need it too. Right? So it's kind of a good reminder to us, like we need to chill and not wake up and lead by example, and on it goes.
I noticed just in parenting, the more regulated my nervous system is, then the more my kids will be regulated, because they're unconsciously copying us.
Totally.
And adaptogens help with that. And anything that helps me manage my biological state helps me manage my energetic state that the kids are going to pick up. So it's how do you separate the line between physical and emotional? They're so connected.
Yeah.
And so if I'd come home from, I had to walk across the garden from the barn, but still, just changing from work mode, dealing with tens of millions of dollars and all sorts of big decisions, and then coming home and shifting my state. If I'm tweaked from something, it's not going to be a good dinner. So the ability to make that shift consciously and biologically at the same time seems to be one of the most important parenting things. Right. And of course, there's times I, get stressed or pissed off and you say things you regret and all that. But minimizing those by managing my biology, I think, is important for parenting.
Totally.
So I could see theanine and GABA, some of your ingredients, kind of helping with that.
Right. I love that. Because look, when you feel good, you're better. Yeah. Right? Whether it's, you name it, right? It's holding the door for somebody, it's letting somebody in traffic, whatever it is, the dinner table. And when you're tweaked, I mean, I think it's one of the greatest powers that a parent can have is not bringing home work, right? Good or bad, right? Like, because it's different, right? Like now you're with your family. They're not your work. They're not your job. And even though that's you need to it's like walking into a different room. What was happening in this room is not happening in that room. And there's a wall there and they can't see it. They have no idea. So you can't come in and assume they know and they're in on it. You have to bring a whole different, and on the flip side, it's a great opportunity. You can walk through the door and hit reset.
That's true.
Right? You don't have whatever caused the disruption at work on the other side. You just have like a willing, happy, energetic, right? Like switch energy. It's like perspective, right? Like I have an amazing opportunity to put all that behind me immediately and just come in and just have a strong end of the day with my community.
Totally, totally real. I think there's also value if you have the ability to manage your stress and you're self-aware there's been times where, I'd come back home and just say, hey guys, it was a really rough day today, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little tired, right? And admitting that to the kids when they're appropriate age, 7, they can understand that. Saying, I'm a little tired. And then someone's like, why? And then you can talk about it. So suddenly they're learning a little bit about business, but they're also knowing that I'm aware of my state.
Yep.
Right. And that I'm doing something about it or not doing something about it.
Yeah.
I hope that was a good parenting thing. And when I work with entrepreneurs all the time, it's that. So just understanding our biology does that. And it does it because the more stress hormones you have, the more dysregulated you are, the more the emotion feels big. Right. And the cure for that is to be less dysregulated or to be more regulated. And so I'm hopeful that because I fed my kids right, I made sure they sleep, that whenever I'm an asshole, it left fewer marks, but I don't know. I'm just doing my best, right?
It's only one way to find out.
Yeah. We'll A/B test them, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Can't do that in parenting.
Right? We're very, very committed to good night's sleep for them.
Oh, it's the most important thing.
That's how we feel. I mean, we're pretty rigid about it. But you can just see it bearing fruit. That's what's cool about it. You can see it in real time and long term. I mean, it's just, they're healthier, they're happier, they're more prone to understanding. It's kind of like it's the ultimate adaptogen, right? It's just good night's sleep.
It's completely true. We've always blacked out their bedrooms, which means they're not afraid of the dark. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
And the house has always had dim red lights if we need them at night.
Yeah.
So understanding circadian biology is just part of what they do. And I know, especially my son, sometimes he's probably staring at his screen later than they should, whatever. Like they're getting it well enough that, man, getting good sleep, it means they're impervious to the stress that comes with being in high school. And as an entrepreneur, getting good sleep means I can do, 6 episodes today.
Yep.
And I'm not going to lose my energy. But if I slept like a zombie last night, not in a good way, but in a, my sleep isn't working way, I wouldn't be able to do it. So I consider it to be important. But on the flip side, if you're stressed during the day, you're going to need more sleep and it won't be as good.
Right.
And that's why stacking it with something like MTE is a good idea. And I also wanted to thank you. You offered our listeners, use code Dave for 20% off. GetMTE.com. So guys, you want to try something that tastes good, even though I guess you said your kids don't like it, but it tastes pretty good.
One of them does.
One of them
loves it.
Yeah. I think most kids actually would like MTE because it tastes good. So my guess is maybe that one kid, maybe they don't like it because it's yours.
I think she just defy me.
Everyone who's tried it says it tastes good. I think it tastes good. So that's weird. All right. So to your child, who does that, dude, I see you. We've got your number. We know where to so there. Now it won't work anymore. Anyway, getmte.com. Use code Dave. Guys, you want to try a cool stack? You can take it in the morning if you tweak in the morning.
Yep.
And your primary use case is use it noon to 2 or something.
For me.
Okay.
I mean, I love the focus and the mood and just the strong finish it gives me to the day, the light euphoric energy.
Sweet.
And then setting me up for success for recovery later.
And you don't use it at night?
If I'm going out or I'm having a later night.
Okay.
But usually, no.
Because it's probably too stimulating right before bed.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, right before bed, no.
Okay.
I've never tried that.
And just given the ingredients, I think this is like, if you're going to stay out late, whatever, but probably you want to end it like maybe 4 p.m.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Just based on the half-life of ingredients and all.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you're at Burning Man, take it all night long. That's fine, right?
100%.
Okay. Do you go to Burning Man?
No.
No?
But I have a lot of friends that did.
I mean, you're in logistics. You guys are too like straight-laced to go to Burning Man, right?
Not me.
You're in Dripping Springs, man.
I've always had the freak flag up, man.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'll be going again this year. I think this will be my 12th year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What do you take to barter? What do you guys do? Or
for a while, I built an art car. It was like $50,000 and it was a giant stick of grass-fed butter.
Okay.
With a coffee cup from Disneyland that spun around on top. No branding or anything like that. Yeah. And we'd give away 5,000 cups of unbranded coffee blended with butter and MCT.
Cool.
Because in the middle of the night, when you're on substances and your mitochondria are just punched in the face, people drink a little of that and they're like, I got my I got my trip back. And they're just so much happier. Did that for a few years, but the Department of Mutant Vehicles, they were very picky, and I'm just like, I can't, like, it was costing so much money and so much time. Like, I had a whole team, me and other people, like, all the time we're driving and fixing, and so finally we quit doing that. So now we just have a station area, like, come and get really good coffee, and it's free.
People find you.
Yeah, they find me.
Cool. That's cool. I like that.
It's fun, and it's one of those things where Burning Man, by its nature, it has no branding. Like I don't, people might know it's me, they might not. Like, here's really good coffee, have some, but we don't put stickers on or any of that crap because it's not a commercial thing. It's
that would be a turn off.
Yeah, how do you help people out is what it's about.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate you offering listeners a good discount on it. Guys, GetMTE.com. Use code Dave. Seems like code Dave works in lots of places by design. So, this is one of those things where easy to do, don't have to swallow pills, and it's got saffron in it, which is a critically important ingredient, and a bunch of other good stuff. Yeah. So, like, the way I would say with any of the biohacks that I try it, and if it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, stop doing it. Right? You don't have to believe something works. If in fact that's really toxic, just test it out. Does your HRV go up? Do you feel better? And if so, you win.
And one of the things that was important to us when we built it was that you could feel it. Mm-hmm. We wanted something. There's so many supplements out there with merit that you don't feel, right? Yep. So we wanted to sort of take an opposite tact and say, I want people to feel this. Mm-hmm. I want them to actually feel good and be like, man, yes, this is good for me, and I feel this good. I'm in. That was the goal. So absolutely try it. Give it 7 days, give it 30 days. But you should feel it day one, right? I mean, some of the accumulating benefits over time, but day one, you should feel a little bit of a lift and feel better. And if you do, then make it part of your habit. I have a question for you.
Sure.
What do you keep the rooms at when you sleep, temperature wise?
68.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also have a 8 sleep on my bed that makes the mattress about 7 degrees cooler than that when I'm asleep. And when I'm going to sleep, it's about 2 degrees cooler, but it'll manipulate the temperature based on my sleep state. So I think last night there was 28 adjustments in the temperature, and it gave me about 12% more REM sleep.
Amazing. That's just like a mattress cover?
By the way, guys, probably use code Dave on 8sleep.com. It wouldn't surprise me. Right? Like it's been a couple of years since I talked.
Start plugging it in everywhere.
Well, I've been doing sleep hacking, tracking my sleep for 17 years. Yeah. And it's like dim red lights. If there are brighter lights, I use the True Dark glasses for sleep. Yep. My air is at 68, and there's studies between 65 and 68 Fahrenheit. Yep. Different studies conflict, but I have a girlfriend, so 68 because she gets cold. And then the mattress control is amazing. The very first mattress chiller launched on the show like 11 years ago. Okay. And 8 sleep, I like it because when my Aura ring is out of charge, like it is right now, 8 sleep also gives you a sleep score just built into the mattress.
Oh, very cool.
So that's why I use that one.
Okay.
And if you do those things and you don't eat after the sun goes down, like, you'll probably get a good night's sleep. It's kind of amazing, right?
Just imagine that.
Cool.
I love it. Okay. This is great, man. We do 68. We do everything you just articulated, but I don't have a mattress chiller yet.
Worth it.
I'm going to get one.
Yeah. And if you want just the full master class that's free, sleepwithdave.com.
Okay.
That is by far the best URL of my entire life. But it's,
I was going to say, it sounds very provocative.
It's like everything I know about sleep. It is not my OnlyFans page. It is just like, here's Dave's sleep class.
I love that.
Nice. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next episode.
See you next time on the Human Upgrade Podcast.